A young captain, accused of treason by his enemies, is imprisoned in a notorious jail. After a daring escape, he returns home to exact ruthless revenge on those who wronged him. The story begins in 1815, amidst a raging sea where a shipwreck occurs. A sailor named Edmond Dantès risks his life by diving into the stormy waters to save a woman, defying the direct orders of his captain, Danglars. When the woman is pulled aboard, she's found clutching a bottle containing a letter from Napoleon. At the time, many in France considered Napoleon an usurper, making the letter a dangerous possession. Unaware of the letter's implications, Edmond finds himself caught in a perilous situation. When the ship docks in Marseille, Captain Danglars seizes the letter from her. Harboring a grudge against Edmond for disobedience, Danglars informs the shipping company owner, Morel, of Edmond's actions. However, Morel, impressed by Edmond's bravery, decides to promote him to captain and fires Danglars instead. Overjoyed by his promotion, Edmond returns home to share the news with his family and fiancée, Mercédès. On his way, he visits the Morcerf family estate, where he grew up with his best friend Fernand, the son of the family. At a celebratory dinner honoring Edmond's promotion and Fernand's recent promotion to lieutenant, it is revealed that Mercédès is not only Edmond's fiancée, but also his cousin. Later, while sailing on a yacht, Edmond and Mercédès declare their love for each other and plan to marry, now that Edmond's position allows him to provide for her. Though Fernand secretly harbors feelings for Mercédès, he reluctantly accepts the situation. Edmond and Mercédès are soon married in a joyous church ceremony. However, their happiness is short-lived as Edmond is abruptly arrested on charges of treason. A letter allegedly containing Napoleon's instructions is discovered in Edmond's cabin. Desperate to prove his innocence, Edmond recalls Angèle, suspecting her involvement in the plot. Prosecutor Gérard Villefort initially appears sympathetic, promising to investigate the matter. For now, however, Edmond must remain in custody. Fernand, convinced of his friend's innocence, visits Villefort to testify on Edmond's behalf. At the prosecutor's office, Fernand finds Danglars, who is scheming to frame Edmond. Villefort reveals that Edmond is accused of treason, but omits any mention of the mysterious woman, Angèle. Villefort offers to release Edmond if Fernand vouches for him, but fearing for his own reputation, Fernand chooses to remain silent. Believing his release is imminent, Edmond is instead violently beaten and thrown into prison. Meanwhile, Villefort visits his pregnant mistress. Angèle, the sister of Villefort's lover, confronts him, threatening to expose his affair if Edmond is not released. Enraged, Villefort strangles Angèle to silence her, a crime that will haunt him. Edmond is sent to Château d'If, a notorious prison where he endures years of solitary confinement, losing track of time and hope. Daily, the guards check if the prisoners are alive, reinforcing the despair. One day, Edmond hears a strange noise from the wall of his cell. When a stone dislodges, he seizes the chance to dig further using a makeshift tool. He eventually discovers another prisoner, Abbé Faria, an old man who has spent years tunneling in a desperate bid for freedom. Abbé Faria becomes Edmond's mentor, teaching him various sciences, languages, and philosophy. One day, Faria reveals a closely guarded secret. He is the last keeper of the Templar treasure, hidden during the Crusades on the island of Monte Cristo. Faria promises to share the treasure with Edmond if they can escape together. Their plans are interrupted when, during a tunnel excavation, the ceiling collapses, fatally wounding Faria. With his dying breath, he gives Edmond the coordinates to the treasure. During the next guard inspection, Edmond sees an opportunity to escape. When the guards remove Faria's lifeless body, Edmond swaps places with the corpse, hiding inside the burial sack. The guards carry him out and toss the sack into the sea. Once submerged, Edmond cuts himself free and swims to the shore. Determined to reclaim his life, Edmond travels to the Morcerf family estate, only to find it abandoned. He learns that the nobles have moved to Paris and that his father died of starvation. Stricken with sorrow and anger, Edmond commandeers Fernand's old yacht and sails to the island of Monte Cristo. There, he discovers the treasure, a trove of unimaginable riches, including gold and jewels, left behind by the Templars. Meanwhile, in Marseille, an elderly monk arrives, seeking out Cadras, one of the sailors complicit in Edmond's betrayal. The monk tells Cadras that Edmond Dantès is presumed dead and that he left his treasure to his enemies in his will. Overwhelmed with guilt, Cadras confesses his role in Edmond's downfall. He reveals that Danglars manipulated the shipping company to oust Morel. Fernand married Mercédès by exploiting Edmond's disgrace, and Villefort used Edmond's case to curry favor with the king. Additionally, Villefort sold Angèle into a brothel to silence her. Hearing this, The monk reveals himself to be Edmond in disguise. Consumed by rage but determined to act strategically, Edmond tracks down Angèle, who is gravely ill. She recounts her escape from the brothel and a horrifying crime she witnessed. Villefort buried his illegitimate child alive in his garden to conceal his affair. Angèle managed to exhume the child and save him, raising the boy in secret. As her life wanes, she entrusts the boy to Edmond, asking him to protect and guide the child. Edmond agrees and takes the boy to an orphanage, where he raises him with a singular purpose: vengeance. Years pass, and the narrative shifts to Paris, where Villefort, now a powerful and respected figure, hosts a grand celebration for his promotion. During the festivities, Villefort's son, Albert, meets a mysterious and enchanting woman named Haydée, ensuring that Haydée and Albert grow closer while sowing seeds of mistrust and chaos among his enemies. Haydée eventually learns that Villefort was responsible for her father's death. Torn between her love for Albert and her thirst for revenge, she becomes increasingly entangled in Edmond's schemes. At the height of his orchestration, Edmond invites his enemies, including Villefort, Fernand, and Danglars, to an elaborate dinner. During the evening, Edmond tells a chilling tale about his newly purchased mansion, describing it as haunted by the cries of a child. He recounts discovering a burial site in the garden, a veiled reference to Villefort's buried secret. The prosecutor becomes visibly disturbed as Edmond reveals intimate details only Villefort and his wife could know. The dinner sets the stage for the ultimate unraveling of Edmond's enemies. As secrets are exposed and tensions escalate, Edmond's carefully crafted plan edges closer to its dramatic conclusion. After the dinner, Villefort, deeply shaken by Edmond's revelations, decides to confront him directly. Struggling to understand how Edmond could possess such intimate knowledge, Villefort becomes increasingly paranoid. The following day, Villefort meets with Lord Halifax, unaware that Halifax is another of Edmond's ingenious disguises. During their conversation, Lord Halifax subtly insinuates that he knows the truth about Edmond and suggests that if the Count intended harm, he would have acted more directly. This calculated ambiguity leaves Villefort questioning his understanding of the situation, sowing further doubt and confusion. Meanwhile, rumors begin to circulate through the press that Danglars' fleet has been captured by pirates. As panic spreads, the stock value of Danglars' company plummets, creating a lucrative opportunity for competitors, including Edmond, to acquire shares at rock-bottom prices. Danglars, desperate to salvage his fortune, decides to capitalize on the drop by buying back his own shares. However, lacking sufficient funds, he approaches Edmond for a loan of 500 million francs. In exchange, Danglars offers all his property as collateral. Although Danglars attempts to negotiate, Edmond agrees to the loan on the condition of a binding promissory note. With Danglars' downfall in motion, Edmond sets his sights on Villefort. He orchestrates a defamation lawsuit against Lord Halifax, deliberately drawing Villefort into the case as defense counsel. When the trial date arrives, instead of Halifax appearing, Villefort's son, André, takes the stand. In a shocking turn of events, André accuses Villefort of attempted murder. Villefort, unable to refute the charges, realizes his carefully concealed secrets are about to be exposed. Desperate, he attempts to flee, but the court swiftly orders his arrest. Simultaneously, Danglars, recognizing the futility of his situation, pleads with Edmond for an extension on the loan. Edmond, cold and unyielding, reveals that he has already seized everything Danglars once owned. Stripped of his wealth and reputation, Edmond advises Danglars to flee Paris, leaving the disgraced man with no options but exile. After these events, things begin to move faster. André, Villefort's son, in response to Edmond's words, plunges a knife into his father's throat. Soon after, André is shot by a soldier, dying in Haydée's arms. Filled with guilt, Haydée accuses Edmond of leading her beloved astray with thoughts of revenge. Haydée, fearing for Albert's life, writes him a letter to end their relationship. Despite her efforts to push him away, Albert, unaware of the full truth, is determined to confront her and rushes to her side. Haydée, torn between her love for Albert and her loyalty to Edmond's plan, ultimately decides to run away with Albert. As Albert and Haydée prepare to leave the city together, Edmond, concealed in the shadows, intercepts them. He confronts Albert with the harsh truth. His father, Fernand, is responsible for the murder of Haydée's father. Shaken and angered by the revelation, Albert challenges Edmond to a duel. The duel takes place the following morning. Edmond and Albert take their positions, stepping the agreed distance apart. As the moment of truth arrives, Edmond purposefully shifts his aim, ensuring his shot misses Albert. When it is Albert's turn, he hesitates, closing his eyes while Edmond stands unmoving. At the last critical moment, Mercédès arrives, recognizing Edmond by his voice. She pleads with him to spare their son's life. Moved by her appeal, Edmond promises that Albert will live, but seizes the opportunity to reveal the truth about Fernand. He recounts how Fernand betrayed Edmond by falsely accusing him of espionage. Mercédès, devastated by the revelations, leaves Fernand, who is now alone, disgraced, and stripped of everything he once held dear. The long-awaited duel between Edmond and Fernand ensues. Their skills are evenly matched, but in the end, Edmond prevails, delivering a final blow that leaves Fernand alive yet irreparably broken. With his vengeance complete, Edmond chooses to embark on a journey of self-discovery and healing. In a heartfelt letter to Mercédès, he explains that achieving justice has granted him peace of mind and freed him from the chains of hatred and bitterness. The story, which began with betrayal and despair, concludes with forgiveness and the hope for a new beginning. The Count of Monte Cristo sets sail, leaving behind the life he once knew and the struggles for justice that defined him, as he seeks solace in a future unburdened by the past.